This will be number 12 in the odds and ends make and break engine. Today we're going to make the intake valve chamber. This is the valve chamber that goes onto the exhaust valve chamber. The two bolt together like this. And the only change I've made in this is a separate piece. It shows you turning it all out of one piece, but that's a lot of work. And I also put a O-ring slot in here so that I can slide the carburetor on and off without taking out any screws or anything, and it just slips on there. It works really good. I'm going to make this out of cast iron. This is a piece of 3/4 by 3/4 cast iron, and actually that was formerly an andiron for a fireplace that I picked up at the dump, and it's really good cast iron, and I've been using it for quite some time now, except it's only 3/4 of an inch thick that I can get out of it. I wish it was a 1 inch wide, it would be a lot better. But, it's nice fine grain cast iron. Okay, this is the print and that's the part we're making. I'm not going to put this little extension on here. I'm going to add that on afterwards because it's easier to do, and it takes up less stock. That would have to be a very big piece of stock. So it's 15/16 long, basically 1 inch. And what I'm going to do first is just turn that extension for the valve guide. And I won't bore it, I'll just do the outside of it. So I'm starting off with this 3/4 by 3/4. The print actually calls for it to be 5/8 by 3/4. But because I have a 4-jaw scroll chuck, I'm using it 3/4 by 3/4, and then I'll take a 1/16 off of each side after I finish doing the features on it. So first one I'm going to do is the valve guide, the intake valve guide, and that's going to be 3/8 deep and 1/4 inch in diameter. So I won't drill it, I'm just going to turn it. I'm going to set this up for 3/8 deep. That's 0, 1, 2, 3, 75, right there. Set up my stop. That's 304, so about 50 to go. Now if this is a little undersized, that's better because your valve spring is going to fit over that and you want it to clear it a little bit. So I usually go 5 under at least. On the 5, and that'll be it. Now what I'm going to do is take this out of here and flip it around and put it in the same position. So I've got these two marked X. So I want to mark this so they line up somewhat. So that's that one and that's that one. That way. That way if there's any, if the chuck's a tiny bit off, it'll be off in both of them, so it won't make any difference. Okay, now the next thing is the little spigot that fits down inside of here. So I got also to be 3/16, and it's the diameter of this. So I'm going to measure this. It says 437. Let's see if I got that exactly right. It's actually 440, so 437 will fit in there. It's got a 439. So got to make that 187 deep. Zero this. 37. It's right there. Like this. Set my stop. Boy, that's pretty good. And 1,000. Just double checking my dimensions. See how far I got to go. That's still 610, so I gotta. Now it's just 500, so I've just got a little bit more to go. Almost less than 20, so let's take off 5. Doesn't go on there yet. Not quite. Let's see why. Oh yeah, it's still almost 10 over. Let's go for 5. $1,000 should do it. Perfect. That's a nice fit. So now we're going to do the valve seat. So the first, I've got to drill it out, and going to bore it and put the seat in. Starting off with a spotting drill. And usually what I do is put this spotting drill way up in there so it gets a good center. If you let it stick way out, it can wobble. Get it as close as I can. For some reason, I can't find the exact depth of that hole. Extremely important. You don't want to drill it so deep that you go into this. You want to keep enough material there. So I want to go in about that far and leave a good piece of material there to hold it together. So just measure that and see. About 520. 520. That's a 9/32 hole. So I'm going to go in with a 1/8 first. I just went in a 1/2 inch 500 thousandths with that one. Take a 3/16. Just going into the bottom of the 1/8 hole. And then I'm going to do with a 1/4 inch. And I'll go the 9/32. Actually, I can go with the 9/32. I mean, yeah, 17/64, 9/32. Because that hole isn't a reamed hole, it's just a drill hole. Right there. Now the center of that hole should be just perfect because the drill wasn't wobbling. If the drill's wobbling, you got a problem. You got to get everything to go in there without any wobble in that drill. And because this is not a bored hole. So the next thing I'm going to do is drill the hole for the valve stem, and I'm going to go with an undersized drill 7/64. So 1/8 valve stem. Then I got to get a number drill to open it up, and then I'll ream that. Start off very lightly, and once I get it in there, I can put some pressure through it. Good. So now I'm going to get a number drill that's almost 1/8. It's a 31 drill. It's 120 thousandths. It's 5 under. Now I'm going to put a 1/8 reamer through there. Okay, now we're going to put the valve seat on that. So the valve seat has to be, one less. 44. You want to put the valve seat in there that way. So I want to have it at 44 degrees. So like I said, I'm doing the valve seat at 44, and I'll do the valves at 45. And that should give me a 1 degree interference fit. And I'm going to use a tiny boring bar for that. And like we did on the exhaust valve, I still want just a small valve seat, maybe 20 thousandths wide maximum. I'm going to run in here. So I bring the bit out till it just touches. So it's just touching there. Bore it in just a little bit. Okay, so that's 0 right at the bore. So I'm going to bring it out 15 thousandths. I've got it out of the hole now. I'm going to back it off 15 thousandths. Take it in till it hits. Okay, turn the machine on. Speed it up. And that gave me a good seat. If you can you zoom right in on that, Jim? See?
See if I can get this one. That looks good.
This is a 20 thousandths feeler gauge, and I would say that valve seat is just a hair too wide. So what I'm going to do is just take a tiny bit off of the face here, and that'll make the valve seat a little narrower. So maybe if I came out 10 thousandths, I would get a seat that's 20 wide. I don't know, but the too wide is not good because you have to do a lot more lapping. I like to have a very narrow seat. There it is. I just took 2 thousandths off of that, and I think that's plenty. It's a very narrow seat now, and it's all the way around, so everything is concentric. Now I'm going to take that out of there, and I'm going to take a 1/16 off of 2 sides, and that'll make it 5/8 wide. There's what we have so far. I've got to get something underneath that to straighten it out. What I'm going to do is, so I'm not putting pressure on this, I just put a little collet over that, and this has been turned on both sides so it's perfectly flush and concentric. Got to get something underneath it. This doesn't work very well. Okay, boy, that's going to do one, but I don't know if I'm going to get the second one when I flip it over. I can definitely take a 16th off of it there. So I'm taking off a 16th. We're going to go probably 20 at a time. See how that works out. 20. Slow this down quite a bit. Get my speed. The chart says 375, which is pretty slow to me. See how that's going to go. If I take off 60, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, I'll be within 5. So take off. That should work out just right. Okay, that should be 5/8. Pretty good. No, actually it's 8 over. So the next thing we got to do is drill the holes here to clamp that down. They've got them in 3/32. Let's see how that. Mark it for the 4 bolt holes, and it says in the print to use a 440. I'm only using a 256. They're plenty strong. There's not that much pressure on them, and the 440s look too large on this, so just the scale of the thing is not right. I'm going to go around and mark this all 3/32 is 093. Let's see if I can do it this way now. I don't think you can see those at all, but they're there. I'm going to put the prick punch marks in there. What I usually do with the prick punch is I do a little light tap, and I look to see that it's absolutely where I want it to be. And if it isn't, you can angle it. You can tap it over a little bit and put it back in the same hole and hit it. Once in a while it's a hair off, you can just move it over by angling your punch. These aren't extremely important anyway, because they're only going to fit one part. See, I got that one quite a bit off, so I got to drive it over this way. I did it. Now I'm going to go drill that with the clearance hole. Number 43 drill. Let's spot them first. 43 drill. So now I'm going to put that in the vise, because the sides are the same width, and line that up nice and square, and do one hole. I guess I can do all of them if it's that square. I guess I can touch them all. Usually I just do one, put the bolt in, and then do the other 3, but I'm going to show you that method. The reason I do that is because you can get it on there nice and tight. So now I'm going to drill in the tap drill. I got to go in at least a 1/4 inch. So I'm using a number 51 tap drill. That gives me a full thread. I'm going to set this up so I go in a 1/4 inch. I'm going to come up further for this. Set my dial indicator. Zero it. Okay. I'm going to go in 250. It's going to intersect with that other hole, I believe. A little cutting oil here. So that did intersect with that other hole, by the way, so just go into that hole and that's it. But that's through the hole now, all the way into the other bolt hole. Normally, if you were doing this, I usually use this method. I get one bolt in there, get everything squared, make sure everything is right, and then mark the other 3. I'm going to go back to the clearance drill and mark the other 3. It really isn't necessary when you've got a good bite on it with a vise like this, but I just wanted to show you the method that I usually use. Now, I want to match mark this so that I know how to put it back on the next time. I'm just going to put a prick punch mark where it doesn't show too much. And this goes on the engine this way. So this is the back side of it. So I'm just going to put a little prick punch mark right here. Actually, probably right here is even better. So I always know how that goes on. Probably can't even see them, but they're there, right there. I'm going to drill the 3 tap holes. And in order to do that, I have to take this drill out. Because one time I didn't do that, and I drilled all the tap holes with the clearance hole, and that's no good. You got to throw the part away and start over. So I make doggone sure that I've got the tap drill in there. And I don't have to measure the depth because it goes into that other hole, so I know if I break through that, I'm good. You have to be very careful with this number 2 tap. You don't break it off in there. I'm only going about 3 turns and then backing it out and cleaning it with my fingers. Two, 3, yeah, about 3 is about all I can do. I have a brush for this, but it's not right here handy. If you feel any resistance at all, always back it out and clean the hole. Because if you turn those taps and break it off in there, now you really got a problem. Especially if it breaks off flush. It's not anything sticking out. I'm going to see if I have a gasket for this. I just use a round gasket. I don't make a square gasket with the holes in it. It's quite a waste of time, actually. See if that fits. I'll have to make a little bigger one. But that's all you need is a round gasket like that. And it works fine. If you go to make the holes and all, it's a lot of work and it doesn't really do anything. Actually, this one here would probably work. It's a little big. These gaskets are just waste gaskets that I punched out from other jobs. You know, when I make a gasket, sometimes I have this left over for the centerpiece, and I save them, and sometimes they work. That's a little too big, but see, a gasket like that would work. This is just a little too big, so I'll just make a gasket punch for that and make a gasket, and I don't include the bolts. So the next thing we're going to do is make this projection out here to put the carburetor onto, and that's going to be a separate piece. So all I'm going to do is drill a hole in the side of this, and hopefully I do it in the right side, and we'll put that in there and silver braze it in. This goes on the cylinder head. So if I put my two match marks here, the carburetor has to come out in this direction. So I'm going to mark that so I don't screw it up. My match marks lined up, and I'm going to put a big X here. If I drill that in the wrong side, then I got to make it over. Okay, so that just gets centered on here. So that's 410, so 205 would be that way. And this way here should be around 5/8. 625, yeah, it's about 8 over. So 5/16 is 313, 312, and you go up another 2 thousandths for that difference that is over, and that's the center right there. I'm just going to prick punch that and drill it. A tiny bit off center, so I just moved it over. That's perfect now. So this is quite a bit different from the print. It shows you a 1/4 inch hole into there. I'm using a 7/32, and that's plenty. It breathes fine. And the reason is I want to use a 3/8 piece here with an O-ring on it to slip the carburetor onto. And you don't have to do that. You can put your carburetor on any way you want. And you can actually make this with a flange with 2 screws in it or whatever. But I like to be able to change my carburetors real easy and swap it from engine to engine. And then if I have one that runs good and I have one that doesn't run good, I can switch the carburetor real quick and see if that's the problem. So this is the method I use, and that's plenty of a hole to breathe through. So the hole through is 7/32, and the OD of this is 3/8. So what I'm going to do is turn that down just a little bit and put a hole in here that's 5/16. So in order to get that flat on the surface, I'm just going to turn that upside down and make sure it's flat. Then I'm going to drill a 5/16 hole, start out with a small hole and work up to 5/16. The center drill first, the spotting drill. So I went about 3/4 of the way into there with the 5/16. That's just for the part that I'm going to put the carburetor on to fit into, so I get a good solder joint. So that's already got a little bit of a hole in it. I'm going to go with a 7/32 brass drill. Go in there probably 1 inch. Because it's already started, I don't have to go with the small drills first. This is only going to be 3/4 of an inch long, so that's plenty deep. Now what I'm going to do is turn down this end of it to 5/16 so it'll fit into the intake valve chamber. So So that's 200 thousandths deep, so I'm going to set this for 200. There we go, another 300. Then we'll try it. If this will fit on there now. Just fits, absolutely. So I need a tiny bit of clearance for the silver solder. So I'm just going to crank it in 1,000th. Now we got to put in the slot for the O-ring. It's a 1/16 inch slot. Doesn't really matter where it goes, as long as it gets engaged well with the carburetor. So I'm going to go out here about the same as I did on this one, about halfway. See how far out that is. It's about 200 thousandths out, and it's about the same from the end. So if I go here, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go in there 62 thousandths, which is the size of the O-ring. I'll show you this as I do it. Now, this is exactly a 16th wide, which isn't quite, the O-ring is a tiny bit oversized. So I'm going to move this over a couple of thou. And I'm going to go in again 62 thousandths. Just to make the O-ring slide in there easy. I'm going to part this off. So there it is. Just got to clean the end up with I'm just cleaning the end up with a countersink because it had a little burr on it. There's the piece. We'll just silver breeze that in there. And let me show you how the O-ring fits. These are experiments. So this is one of my carburetors. As you can see, it just fits on there exactly. Now I'm going to put an O-ring on it and show you how it holds it. This is an experiment. It isn't quite deep enough. This should have been a little longer. So this is a 3/8 OD O-ring, and it's 1/16 diameter. Actually, I didn't quite get enough out of that, but that'll work. I should have made that a tiny bit wider and checked it with the O-ring stock. But you can see that'll snap right on there, and hopefully the carburetor fits on there. And you can see that's quite tight. It doesn't pull off easy. And when that's on, so that's up to here, which is this spigot isn't quite long enough for this. So let's silver braze that in there. I silver braze everything together practically, as you probably noticed. Now, in this case, you could probably use soft solder, but another thing you could use is JB weld, because there's a high temperature JB weld, and that does work just fine. Just glue it in there, because this isn't under any compression or anything. It's just and it's the O-ring. You know, the temperature of the O-ring isn't anywhere near that, because this draws in cold air all the time and it keeps it cool. So JB weld would work fine on this. Pushing that silver away from it. When the water boils, it pushes the chips away. There it is once it cools off. So that'll be the end of number 12, and we have the exhaust, the exhaust and the intake valve chambers made. And next week we'll do the spark suppressor, or muffler as you probably would call it. Screws on there. We'll make that. And this week I'm going to drill and put this onto the cylinder, but you know how to do that anyway. So I'm going to drill and tap and get these together. And also I'm going to show you the spring winder for making springs for the both valves, and I'll give you the spring sizes and the spring diameters. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's very important to us. And thank you very much.